Honorable members, we will now proceed. Order. Honorable members, we will now proceed and deal with the debate on vote 8. Without waste of time, I think it should be fine if I call to the podium our Honorable MEC. But before I do that, I would like to report to honorable members that and confirm that the budget reports 2023 and 24 of the Human Settlements Portfolio Committee has been tabled in terms of the visual rules. Honorable MEC, I think you are ready. The report will be tabled by the MEC for Human Settlements and Public Works on Human Settlements, Honorable NNG Mahlaba. His report is gonna be for 45 minutes. Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Greetings to our Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs. Oh, the Speaker is there as well. Oh, Deputy Chief Whip. And Bonagal and all the honorable members present in this august house, officials, HOD, Manzini, and the CFO, members of the public in the gallery, and other officials present. Maybe before I proceed, I must say, sometimes when you sit here listening, you think you are somewhere else when you hear people commenting. I like the challenge which Honorable Shlomuga posed, that maybe some members sometimes they must just traverse the province and leave their comfort zone, because I don't think some of them know what is a rural area. They only read about it. I remember when I was at medical school, people used to talk about poverty, but they'd never experienced poverty. But nonetheless, we proceed under the theme which says that leave no one behind. Madam Chair, honorable members, the Honorable Premier tabled a roadmap to this very house during the State of the Province address, where we can fulfill the national pronouncement not to leave anyone behind. We as Human Settlements remains committed to setting the foundations and laying the bricks towards rebuilding a better, prosperous and resilient KwaZulu-Natal. Let us not forget this very day 59 years ago, our late former president and international icon Dr. Nelson Mandela, during his Rivonia trial, where he remained resolute despite what was happening. We all know the conclusion of the trial, but what we can learn from him is that he showed selflessness and an unwavering commitment to the liberation struggle. It is this type of total dedication and resilience that we, in a human settlement delivery chain, seek to emulate and restore the dignity to the people we serve. It is indeed humbling experience for me to present my inaugural budget policy speech as a MEC Human Settlements and Public Works. One feels privileged in getting an opportunity to convert the ideals of freedom for which millions of men and women of this country fearlessly fought for into tangible programs and deliverables. That is why everywhere, in every village, in every township, in every town, government has built houses. They are clear deliverables. Housing and provisioning of human settlements is an emotive subject given the wanton need and landlessness legacy of the pre-1994 era, where majority, especially Africans, were sidelined. However, the democratic government that I'm part of made a covenant in its 1994 Ready to Govern document called the Reconstruction Development Program, RDP, that the ideals as exposed in our freedom blueprint, Freedom Charter, as adopted in Kliptown in 1955, will be realized. Therefore, it is no sheer coincidence of history or incidental design that acronym RDP is associated with democratic government free issue housing intervention together with departmental payoff line, houses, security, and comfort for all, as so eloquently captured in the Freedom Charter clause, there shall be houses, security, and comfort for all. Because as African National Congress, we believe that there shall be no security or comfort without housing. It is only this government of the African National Congress that has comprehended that, which has committed itself in making sure that we restore the dignity of our people, we restore their security and comfort. The people of Upuzane, Ndumu, Mzumbe, Kwanzimagwe, Kwandwalane, Mpendle, Pongolo, eMadundube, eKudlicingo, eBaqulusini, Newcastle, eMakhabeleni, eMaye, KwaDabhasa, eMsinga, Danhausa, Wembezi, a living testimony of our commitment to restoring their dignity. Even la kwakuthiwa khona KwaNdlwane namhlanje kuyahlaleka. It's because of the African National Congress. Asinamona, asinanzondo, sisebenzela umphakathi. One thing that I'm happy about is that anyone can go and witness this. It's not like a person who talk about an MEC who came with a chopper, but did not see the MEC coming out of that chopper. We are not here to tell a fairy tale. Inganekwane, yabona inganekwane. Kube besazi besophatha neinkunzi sifake la. Sisihlengiwe khona singezukumilwa izimpondo. Whilst it will be politically convenient to bask in one's glory, but the task that lies ahead for our department is challenging one. This is correctly so because expectations of the masses out there are huge and immense. The overwhelming majority of our people want tangible changes now and in their lifetime. They don't want to hear about it, that there will be this in the future. They want to see it now. That is why, as this government of the African National Congress, we said we must work with agility and speed to make sure that we deliver services to our people. The challenges of the last 3 years had a debilitating impact within the human settlement environment, as there was severe disruption to service delivery cycle, and construction value chain. This led to department having to revise its service delivery business plans in accordance with milestones that had to be adhered to as part of post-COVID-19 recovery plan, as well as we were rolling our sleeves to arrest the backlog of the 2 financial years caused by COVID-19. We were hit by July unrest, and after that, the floods that caused serious disasters, in particular at eThekwini. This destruction of shelter, both formal and informally, for many communities obligated the human settlements to be at the center of rebuilding process. A further 1,751 temporary residential units have been built in response to April and May 22 flood disaster. There is no government other than the African National Congress which we can work with such speed. Because this is a government which cares. This is a caring government. We have also established 11 transitional emergency accommodations, TEAs, to decant homeless people from 135 mass care centers where they were living in very inhumane conditions and halls. When you visit them now, some of them don't want to move from CBD near eThekwini. They will tell you, no, we don't want to move from here. But I must mention this in passing. Some, especially those who are privileged, refused the department to build in their backyard. They said, not in my backyard. Where land was available. And the reason is because most people who were affected were black people. They wanted to keep them away as per as they were doing during apartheid era, where our people were kept away from economic activity. That is what they wanted to do. I can safely say that from that, I think the first place where we are going to move people in is here, in Umgungundlovu. We have started building for flood victims. The progress is very good. Then we'll go to Verulem, we'll go to other areas. The progress is very good. We are building for our people because we want to make sure that they have security and comfort. The department has financed the acquisition of Transnet Moncler Lodge, situated within the jurisdiction of eThekwini. This we want to use as a department as one of those TAs that we'll use whenever there are disasters. Now it belongs to us. We'll be using it as and when it's needed, whilst we are preparing to build permanent structures for our people. The department will be spearheading the recovery and rebuilding process with the construction of 2,224 permanent housing solutions in this financial year, 2023-2024, in the identified 15 land parcel mentioned by the Honorable Premier. Asikhuluma imfeketho, sikhuluma into ezokwenzeka. Sikhuluma ngeendawo esesiyitholile. We are busy. The only thing in Mkhatshwa that has been a stumbling block is the issue of Pluma. We would have long started. But we are working very well with the affected municipalities to make sure that we fast track that. Because we want to restore the dignity of our people. Even in the midst of challenges mentioned above, government always intervenes swiftly to assist communities affected by disasters. Such is the case with families affected by the fire this past weekend in Dakota informal settlement. On Sunday they were affected. On Tuesday we were there with building material because we are the government which works with agility and speed to make sure that our people are not kept in mass care centers because we understand their pain. It is only a caring and responsive government that can intervene with such haste and provide tangible assistance in the provision of material to address the most urgent needs of our people. We're not only focused on that, but also job opportunities for youth women is one of our priorities. Both His Excellency President Matamela Ramaphosa and Honorable Premier in the State of the Nation and the State of the Province respectively have called for a decisive action of mass employment. The KwaZulu-Natal Department of Human Settlement viewed this as key economic recovery and places youth and women and persons with disability at the core of its programs. As we said, no one will be left behind. Make sure that you empower our youth, our women, our brothers and sisters with disability. So far, 56 youth will be appointed in the department this year through internship. 28 work integrated learnership and candidacy development support program. With respect to job creation, the department has reported 5,852 work opportunities and 1,488 full-time equivalent through 106 projects, particularly with skills and transfer. The department has set its sight on creating 11,900 work opportunities and 3,500 full-time equivalent within the next 2 years. The department created 368 targeted persons days of work last year alone, 368,000. This shows that we are a government at work. We are not sleeping on duty. Towards creating an enabling environment to support women entrepreneurs, 25 million of construction work is to be allocated 25 women-owned companies to 25 women-owned companies. Training will be extended to 90 women-owned businesses because we believe that if you empower a woman, you empower a nation. In terms of accelerating economic recovery, reconstruction and transformation, to realize the strategic objectives of Operation Vula as an overarching program to drive radical economic transformation program, the department has established the SIACA incubation program. In the 2022-2023 financial year, a total of 150 companies have been trained on business planning, management, health and safety, financial management and tax systems. An amount of about 7.5 million was used for business training of the companies. Because we don't want to just take our people and say, no, here is a job, because they will take it and sell it to someone else. They are not going to grow. For them to grow, they need proper training. That is what we've put emphasis on. A budget of about 12.2 million has been set aside for business training of 200 companies in year 23-24. The department is currently liaising with National Skills Fund to source funds totaling 118 million for training and capacity building of about 2,500 beneficiaries for the next 3 years. The move will ensure that we have sufficient content to temp on in the implementation of 30% in our construction projects, even in remote parts of this province, because it's part of the policy of this government that we need to eradicate even mud houses. Wonke umuntu sifuna abe nendlu yesitini, akhelwe indlu ezokwazi ukumelana nesimo semvula esinzima. Hayi abantu bakithi bahlale endlini zodaka. Lo uhulumeni kaKhongolose. In terms of work allocation, the department continues to implement compulsory subcontracting. A total of 23 companies have been allocated work amounting to 29.5 million. This year we are intensifying compulsory subcontracting and mentorship by identifying specific construction projects. The department has issued a call to intensify efforts towards job creation. To this end, the department has targeted the creation of 7,465 jobs throughout various subsidy instruments, including rural housing, integrated residential development, social housing, community residential unit programs. A total of about 3.2 billion will be utilized in creation of jobs as follows. Not going to go through the numbers, but it will cover Majuba, eThekwini, eRigwala, iLembe, King Cetshwayo, Zululand, Ugu, Mgungundlovu, uMkhanyakude, uMzinyathi, uThukela. As I said, we will move from Manguzi to Port Edward. There is no area which will be left behind. Every area will feel the presence of the government of the African National Congress, because we are the government of the people, by the people. We've also made sure that we have designated groups in terms of women, youth, people with disability, and obviously our military veterans who fought for the liberation of this country. They fought even for Honorable Hussein. That is why she's sitting here today. These are the military veterans who even fought even for your father and your mother. The project to be completed this financial year will realize the creation of jobs to support 50 families. Through its projects, the department is not only transferring practical skills to communities, but creating livelihoods as well. Despite the budget cuts and rising cost of building material, we will continue to utilize local labor and material supplied by SMMEs and cooperatives without compromising the quality of the end product. We've commenced the work in the material supply space and have finalized a material supply strategy in an effort to address challenges that continue to persist and are faced by contractors. Our multi-pronged approach to leave no one behind and no project behind. We are determined to focus on the streams of housing needs before they flow into this ocean of housing backlog, which currently stands at 742,000. We eagerly wait the launch of the digitalized National Housing Needs Register so that we can better serve the public by being more accessible and transparent in the allocation. Madam Chair, our program of action to respond to housing needs does not only include the provision of PNG houses. It must be understood that PNG houses are only for the most needy and indigent as per our constitutional obligation. We have multi-pronged approach which also includes the provision of service sites where those who can afford they can build for themselves, but they will find the service sites, rental stock to enable people to live close to where they work, because the apartheid regime moved our people away from economic activity. But now we have come with this one of rental stock to enable them to be closer to where they work. This is evident in prompt response by Umsunduzi local municipality, where the department has started providing necessary support to the community of Copsville. As provinces, we can now set aside 30% of human settlement development grant to install bulk services, such as sewer lines and wastewater treatment plants to support our housing projects. We don't need to wait for anyone. We can utilize 30% of our budget. This will go a long way to ensure that completion of block projects is fast-tracked. Stalled projects such as Tulabetu, Tubaletu, H39, Mbulwane, Mkolombe will be brought back to life to deliver houses with proper bulk services to the waiting needy. Municipalities play a key role in the initial development spadework in human settlement service delivery basket value chain, owing to their developer status role. Honorable members, it is precisely to what I have alluded to above, that during the month of May, the Department of Human Settlement will be signing implementation protocols with the 7 accredited municipalities. I will not mention them, they are there. Closer to the signing of the new 3-year implementation protocols with all accredited municipalities, an invitation will be extended to honorable members to attend the ceremony and be part of this historical intergovernmental program. Using nature towards resolving energy crisis and creation of sustainable livelihoods. Guided by the National Department of Human Settlements, we are reviewing building standards to ensure that we can fit all new houses with energy-saving equipment and introduce a standard for all PNGs houses to be fitted with solar energy harvesting rooftops. So there will be no problem even in the deepest rural area for our people to access electricity, because it will be part of the package. The House will recall that it is now 12 years since, as KZN initiated the harvesting solution in the form of water harvesting tanks for rural households. We have also received marching orders from Honorable Premier to work closer with other departments and ensure the revival of one home, one garden. We will further work with the Department of Agriculture to extend this program to include the planting of fruit trees, as was done in Ilembe district in 2020. Funa abantu bakithi mabevuka amapentshisi abawakhe khona la. Angahamba afuna ukuyothenga amapentshisi kuyisizini yamapentshisi abawakhe khona la. So tshala ihlahla, sakhe izindlu, sisebenze no department waka agriculture, sakhe ihlahla abantu bakithi ama fruits bawakhe ebaleni labo la bahlala khona. Madam Chair, in proudly noting that the department has spent its full budget for 2022-2023 financial year, I'm honored to share with my fellow citizens of KwaZulu-Natal the budget that we are presenting today of 4.3 billion allocation to the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Human Settlements, which is meant to service them, not anything else. Contrary to what the doomsayers were saying, that is for campaign. We need to work hard, go corner to corner, tell people that ANC government has given you this 4.3 billion. We are here to deliver services with it, whether you call it campaigning or not, but we'll be delivering services that the government of the ANC has sent us to deliver. Terms of budget allocation, terms of human settlement development grant, we have 3.1 billion. Expanded public works, we put 7.6 thousand. Informal settlement upgrade partnership grant, 790,000. Equitable share, 412,000, which will give us the 4.3 billion, which belongs to the people of KwaZulu-Natal. It does not belong to any one of us here, but the entire population of KwaZulu-Natal, to make sure that we improve their lives. There is a decreasing trend on HSDG grant allocation due to additional allocation received for disaster funding, which is ring-fenced within the HSDG grant allocation. These funds relate to disasters that occurred during 2019 and 2020. An additional allocation amounting to 474,000 in 2023-2024. The budget planning for new projects is therefore limited. Conditional grant allocation per housing intervention . The conditional grant is allocated as per housing intervention as follows. I'm not going to go through all the figures, but the figures are there. All of us will be able to read. Madam Chair, again, the table below demonstrates the conditional grant that has been allocated as per district, which amounts to about 309 million. I'm not going to through each district, but every district from Mangus to Port Edward will be covered. Equitable share allocation per program. Equitable share is allocated per program as follows. Administration, 236 million. Housing needs research and planning, 22 million. Housing development, 109 million. Housing development, housing assets management, property management, 44 million. The total budget is 412 million. As we said that we are leaving no one behind, leaving no one behind by leaving no program behind. If you look at the table below, it shows the footprint across the province since 2019. To date, the ANC from 2019-2020, there are about 1,650 units that were built in Amajuba alone. eThekwini, 9,000 units were built in 2019-2020 alone. Herikwala, 3,400 units were built. Ilembe, 4,400 units were built. King Echwayo, 2,900 units were built. Uku district, 7,000 units were built. Mkungundlovu, 5,000 units were built. Kanyagute, 3,500. Umzinyathi, 3,100. Uthukela, 3,300. Zululand, 4,500. In terms of service sites, Amajuba, 8,549 sites that have been serviced. That is the government of the African National Congress.
Honorable MEC, you have like 10 minutes left.
I'm about to finish, Honorable Chair. Those are units that have been built. I'm not going to go through each and every one. I will go straight to catalytic projects. Even there I will mention the name of the catalytic project, but I'm not going to go to explain what it is. You can read. I'm sure all of us here can read the language. There is also a Zulu version at the back. Those of us who cannot. There is one Amaoti Greater Housing Project, which is a catalytic project here at eThekwini. Umlazi Urban Regeneration, which is here at eThekwini. Empangeni Mega Housing Project, which is at Usito of Umhlatuze. JBC, which is in Newcastle. And we also will be embarking on upgrading of informal settlements. We are not alone in the resolve to upgrade informal settlements. We remain totally committed to following global action plan framework on informal settlements and slums, which was launched in October last year. As this government, we are a government at work. We'll also be making sure that we decommission transit camps. We provide our people with service sites. Also, there is a program of social and rental interventions. Go and also check at the revised housing scheme for the missing middle income group, because there is that missing group which they cannot, they are working. They are earning more than enough to get an RDP house, but they cannot afford to buy a house. This current government came with a scheme for them to make sure that they are covered. As I said, Madam Speaker, quoting from the State of the Province addressed by the Honorable Premier, that we are leaving no one behind. When it comes to property ownership, the first home finance program, the first home finance program was unveiled to replace the finance-linked individual subsidy, which was known as FLISP. People who earn too much to qualify for fully subsidized government housing, BNG or RDP, and earn little to qualify for a bond are now included in the human settlements delivery chain. Depending on the monthly household income, the government can fund a beneficiary up to 130,000 per household so that they can build their own house. Housing interventions in rural areas in 2022-2023, a total of about 7,032 houses were built in rural areas. That is the government of the ANC. Even if you go to a village where I come from, there is no home without an RDP house and a water harvesting system. This is the government of the people, by the people. Even in the most remote areas, we get there. On Operation Sukuma Sake, once forgotten souls and those affected by disasters are assisted through the Operation Sukuma Sake. We delivered 420 houses to the vulnerable through the flagship program in 2022-2023. And further, 444 households will be assisted through this program come 2025. Priority programs will include our EPWP, where we'll be focusing on skills development, and also we'll be focusing on emergency housing assistance. And lastly, Madam Chair, as I'm about to conclude, we are not going to leave our military veterans. Those who are on the database that have been verified to about 200. By the end of this year, 100 of them will have received their houses. By the way, the aspect is different from the normal RDP house, because these are liberation fighters who liberated us. We are standing here, we are standing on their shoulders. They sacrificed everything. We want to make sure that we restore their dignity. 100 of them by the end of this year will be in their houses. We'll also, Madam Chair, be embarking on consumer education to make sure that we strengthen partnership between government and the public. As I close, Madam Speaker, I want to thank, firstly, all the officials from the department led by Umanzini, the leadership of the ANC, my colleagues in the executive, my colleagues in the portfolio committee, all honorable members from different political parties. Also, I want to thank the prayers, especially from my mother, my wife. She's always beautiful, she's there. Beautiful as ever. Having said that, Honorable Chair, I want to deliver this 4.3 budget for consideration and adoption by this House. Ngokubambisana sithuthukisa isifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal. Umuntu ngekhaya phambili, ngomuntu nekhaya phambili. Siyabonga.
Thank you so much, Honorable MEC. Next, for 10 minutes, will be Honorable LXH Hlongwa-Madlala, whom I believe is connected visually. She's the chair of Human Settlements. 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. I rise to table the report of the Human Settlements Portfolio Committee on the consideration of the 23-24 budget and APP. The Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements received presentations on the 23-24 budget and APP on the 16th of March. This was to be considered a final draft that should be approved and supported by the committee. The meeting resolved to deal with it at a later stage when all inputs from stakeholders were incorporated. Another meeting was convened whereby the committee met with the Department of Human Settlements on the 30th of March 2023. The DHS presented the final 23-24 budget and APP to the committee for engagement and approval. This report will therefore outline the views and comments of the committee in the meeting on the 30th of March 2023. Submission of information. The Portfolio on Human Settlements received the first draft 23-24 budget and APP on the 12th of January 2023 in preparation for the stakeholder engagement, which took place on 22nd of February 2023. The stakeholder engagement was held in eThekwini Metro. The inputs in the stakeholder on the departmental 2023-24 budget and APP are tabulated as follows. Disaster funding took a long time to be allocated, which left communities vulnerable as the province was prone to disasters. The department was unable to deliver adequately on this instrument. The APP 23-24 was not clear on the training of the youth as well as people living with disabilities. The communities were concerned that the renovations of the R293 houses were not mentioned in the presentation, whereas some of the houses were in a terrible state of disrepair. The allocation on Operation Sukumasake was not adequately considering that a lot more people needed houses under that program. Demarcation tended to leave out some RDP housing beneficiaries when they were moved from one ward where they were on the list to another, and which had completed its project. Targeted programs was another area that seemed to be having delivery challenges. Honorable Chairperson, to consider the 23-24 budget and APP for the Department of Human Settlements Vote 8, the committee embarked on the processes as follows. Convened a stakeholder engagement session with communities of eThekwini Metro, held the budget hearing process with the department on the 30th of March to consider and adopt its APP and budget 23-24. Underneath Chairperson, I'm not going to be reading word for word, but Human Settlements budget summary is as follows. The Department of Human Settlements have been allocated a total budget of 4,342,000,000 for the year 2023-2024. The total budget decreased by an average 6% between 2023 and year 2025 to 26. Underneath Chairperson is the expenditure by program, which the MEC has already spoken to. Program 1, Administration. The purpose of this program, Honorable Chair, was to identify and eliminate bottlenecks as well as continuously improve the flow of financial, administrative and management information. The strategic objectives of this program were to strengthen governance and service delivery. The budget for this program had decreased from 257,217,000 to 236,172,000, or a decline of 9%. The decrease was due to funds reallocated for the Youth Directorate to cater for FLIF's communication strategy for a 3-year period ending in year 2022-2023 financial year. The increasing trend over the outer years was to cater for inflationary increases and also provided for the management of office accommodation, training and development, IT-related functions for the entire department. The department implemented a portion of the 23-24 MTF budget cuts of 4.125 million, 1.6 million, and 2.9 million under that program under the compensation of employees. Program 2, Chairperson Housing Needs, Research and Planning. This program experienced a growth of 4% between the years 23 and year 23-24 and over the outer years as well. This program provided for creating platforms for various stakeholders for discussing, debating, drafting, informing human settlements policies, and provided for the identification of any skills gap in the major stakeholders that were an integral part of the housing delivery chain, including municipalities, traditional leaders and institutions, emerging contractors, people living with disabilities, youth and women. The program showed an increasing trend over the years. Over the year 23-24, Program 2 was not affected by the current MTF budget cuts. Program 3, Honorable Chair, is our main program, which is responsible for the implementation and monitoring of housing delivery within all districts, including the eThekwini Metro, through various subsidy mechanisms in terms of national and provincial policies. It is also expected to achieve certain key strategic objectives of the department through the implementation of programs using various subsidy instruments like individual project link, institutional consolidation, relocation, disaster management, social housing, rectification, social and economic facilities, and rural housing stock. The program has carried a budget of 3.9 billion for the department and will decrease slightly by 2% between years 22-23 and 22-23-24 respectively. This program will continue to decrease by 9% in the 24-25 financial year and will only start to grow by 4% in year 25-26. The shifting trend over the MTF was due to disaster allocation of 397 million in 22-23 and 447 in year 23-24 in respect of the HSDG, hence the reduction in year 24-25. Those funds were related to disasters that occurred from 2019 to 22, where there were floods and storms which resulted to damaged houses. The program was not affected by the 23-24 MTF budget cuts. The conditional grants for normal housing projects were gradually increasing over the MTF. The reduction seen in the outer years was due to disaster funding be allocated up to the 23-24 financial year. Program 4, Housing Assets and Property Management. That program was responsible for the management of ex-Natal provincial admin and own affairs stock, including residential properties, vacant land, and a variety of other non-residential properties, all of which belong to the KZN Housing Fund. The KZN Housing Fund was in the process of being disestablished, and once finalized, all assets and liabilities will be transferred to the program, to the department. That program, Honorable Chair, will see a decrease of 3% between years 23-24, 22-23 and 23-24 financial years, and will grow by 1% in the outer years. The decrease in year 23-24 financial year was due to the department implementing a portion of the 23-24 MTF budget cuts of 1.096 million 443,000 and 780,000 under the program against transfers and subsidies to departmental agencies and accounts to be cut against COE of the KZN Housing Fund. The 23-24 MTF provided for the issuing of title deeds, maintenance and rent of rental units, as well as selling of rental units to beneficiaries, among others. I'm not going to read the expenditure by economic classification. I'll quickly go to the remarks by the political parties. I'm gonna go to building and other fixed structures, Honorable Chair, I'm leaving the above for members to read. Those funds were.
Honorable Member, your time has lapsed, unfortunately.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. That is the report presented, although not finally read into the report, to the record of the legislation. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, now we are going to start our debate from the ANC for 8 minutes. Going to have Honorable L.D. Gubane.
Honourable members of the Executive Council, honourable members of the House, distinguished guests, I greet you all. I stand before you representing the Revolutionary Liberation Movement of the People, ANC. The ANC has a social contract that seeks to transform the lives of the people by undoing the inequality brought on by the legacy of the pre-democratic dispensation. Part of the contract is for the ANC to provide the people with the suitable dwellings that they will fully own. Over the years, the ANC has kept its promises, and the Department of Human Settlement is ensuring that our people are housed in a dignified manner. ANC has no doubt that the budget for the financial year 2023-2024 intends to carry on the good work that it's been done. Eqinisweni isidingo sokuhlaliswa kwabantu ezweni lethu sileku sikhula. Futhi ijubane lethu lokuletha kwezidingo lihamba kancane. Kunezinga lokunyuka kokuhlaliswa kwabantu. Lokhu kusungulwa ukwahlukaniswa kwezindawo zokuhlala. Ukwahlukaniswa kwezindawo zokuhlala okwasihlupha kulendlu. Okusasihlupha namanje kulendlu. La KwaZulu Natal. Futhi ukulungiswa lomkhuba okukhona kuyinselelo enkulu. Iningi labanye bethu kulendlu kanye nokhokho baba abayingxenye yokusihlukumeza ngalolu hlobo lokuthi sihlaliswe ngalendlela esihlaliswe ngayo kulendlu. The Freedom Charter alludes, and I quote, "There shall be housing, security and comfort." And as a Human Settlement Committee, we anchor the word of the President Nelson Mandela in his presidential inauguration speech in May 1994, when he said, I quote, "Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. The time for the healing of the wounds has come. The moment to bridge the chains that divide us has come. The time to build is upon us." Honorable Chairperson, in accordance with the presidential pronouncement on the government 7 priorities, this department has aligned itself with the following priorities, namely, spatial integrated human settlement and local government, building a capable, ethical state and developmental state, economic transformation and job creation. In this regard, the department has delivered 42,800 houses and more than 19,224 services sites across the province since 2019. The financial year 2023-2024, the department budget allocates amount to 4.3 billion, of which 412.8 million is allocated to equitable share, 3.1 billion to HSDG, 790.2 million to ASUPG, and 7.6 million to EPWP integrated grant for provinces. Sizokwenza yonke imizamo yokuqinisekisa ukuthi sisebenzisa lezi zinsiza ngendlela esingakwazi ngayo ukuze sithole okuningi ngalokho okuncane sikutholile. While recognizing the effort made by the department entities to support MTSF objectives, as a result, there are still several areas that need to be improved. This includes government, additional funds, and the implementation of transformation objectives. Sikhuluma nje isifundazwe sethu, sinama informal settlement, angu 937, u-77.9% wawo, yukumasipala weTheku. It must be noted that most of the informal settlement are on unsuitable land and often arise as a result of land invasion. Ngokuphawulekayo, ukwanda kwama-informal settlement emadolobheni amakhulu esifundazweni kuwumphumela oqondile okufudukela kwabantu emadolobheni ukuze kuthuthukiswe amathuba ezomnotho kanye nempilo engcono. Ngenxa yalokho, the vast majority of informal settlement are situated on inadequate terrain that frequently experience the housing shortage. However, the 2023-2024 budget allocation for the department in respect of the ISUPG illustration, the measures that are going to be implemented, it is estimated that about 5,693 sites will be provided with services such as water, sanitation, roads, and storm water services. Lokhu kubalulekile kakhulu emizamweni yokuxhumanisa abampofu ababencishwe amathuba kanye nabasengozini namathuba angcono. Ikomiti lezokuhlaliswa kwabantu belilokhu lixoxisana nenqwaba yomphakathi ngesikhathi sokwengamela kwethu njengokugunyazwa yisishayamthetho ngenhloso yokunqanda ukudliwa komhlaba ngokungemthetho. Futhi sicela nomasipala ukuthi benze isiqiniseko sokuthi lokho kungaqhubeki kwenzeke njengoba lokhu kuvimba ithuba lokuthuthukisa kahle nokwenza uhlelo lokuhlaliswa kwabantu ngenxa yalokhu kudliwa komhlaba ngokungemthetho. Honorable Chairperson, poor urbanization management and land use controls linked to local government capacities further execute the situation. Yingakho kufanele kuqashelwe ukuhlakaniswa kokusetshenziswa komhlaba to minimize the negative acceleration of that as socially advantageous. Okunye okubalekile kunezinga elisheshayo lokufuduka kwabantu emadolobheni lokufudukela kwabantu abasuka emakhaya beya emadolobheni njengokulinganiselwa ukuthi ngonyaka ka-2050 inani labantu abasemadolobheni lizokhuphuka kakhulu lize lifike lapha ku-80%. As I conclude, honorable members, siyayiqaphela lemizamo emihle eyenziwa yilomnyango ikwenza ngemali encane eyitholayo futhi siyakwazi ukuthi lo mnyango ngokungangabazeki unezithiyo eziningi ukuthi ukwazi ukuthuthukisa impilo yabantu ibengcono. Kodwa siyaqinisekisa ukuthi ngosizo lwezinhlaka nobuchwephesha umnyango elunawo ngaphakathi nangomgomo abazisungulele wona ukuthi basebenze kahle ukuze bakwazi ukwakha izindlu bakhele umphakathi wakithi, umkhakha uzoqhubeka nokuthuthuka noma singathola incwadi ezivelayo ezovimba ukuthi kube khona intuthuko ezofika, kodwa umnyango uzokwazi ukuthi uphumelele uqhubeke wakhele abantu izindlu. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you, Honorable Mbomvu. Next speaker is from the IFP, Honorable TJ Gumede for 10 minutes. Honorable TJ.
Hey. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to all the MECs present. Greetings to all the parties and the guests in the gallery. You know what? At some point, I was just discussing with my friend, and he told me that angazi ngoba grade 8, kodwa ngakubamba lokho. You learn nothing from life if you think you are right all the time. The Honorable MEC has come here with a very comprehensive budget speech. It's good. It's good only when it's not interrogated. It is good if it's not interrogated. But once you interrogate it, you see the punch holes. Well, I'll start where I want to start. The IFP supports the 4.3 billion for the 23-24 financial year. It was in this podium. I was standing here, and the Premier of KZN was standing here, and she told us that all people who are in the mess, what you call it, in the halls, will be accommodated accordingly before Christmas. I came back here to respond and say that I thank the Premier on behalf of those people. Guess what? I waited until February, and I said, now let me go and check. Where are those people? Where are they? Still displaced, living in a flat in Point Road where they're living V Hall, Zwelisha, Ispingo. And they're living 4 to 5 families within one room. Wives are staying alone, husbands are not there. We are creating what type of a generation where parents could not stay together. Children do not live with their parents. One mother was complaining and said that when I find my daughter pregnant, I won't be able to say anything to her because she will say, "Mother, you have abandoned me." One lady said to me, "I'm living with 23-year-old twins, male twins. I can't bath, I can't clothe, I can't do anything. 23-year-old boys are men, they're not boys. How is she going to sleep in one room with those boys?" If I'm lying now, we can close this session and go there. I've got evidence in my phone, I've got evidence with the SAPC. I've got evidence everywhere. You know what? You know what? Adequate housing is an important basic right. Right now, the MEC spoke about houses, security, and comfort. And I said, wow, what a good combination of words. But are those people are in a secure and comfortable way where they are? Yesterday, Honorable CQ Madlopa honestly pointed out that it's almost a year since those floods happened. A year of what? A year of pain and suffering, a year of uncertainty, and a year of problems to the affected families. Asina inkinga ukuthi abantu bahlale emafletini. They deserve to be in the flats. But the problem is the condition in which they live. Hi guys, I think Eslal, you'll pass this message. Honorable members, I'm sorry I withdraw that one. I think, Honorable Chair, you'll pass the message to the Honorable Speaker that at some point in this House, we'll have to have projectors so that when we speak here, we speak facts, not fiction. We go around, we look at these things. We don't just come out here and eat here and then go back and say home and then all it is. Learners from those people who are in those flats were promised that they will be placed in the nearby schools. But that never happened. Parents have moved away from their livelihood, where they were selling whatever they were selling. They moved to town. And children are supposed to travel from town to Umlazi or wherever. With what? There's no learner transport. They are starving. Their kids lack transport. What are we doing to the black child? What are we doing to the black woman and the black woman? What type of families are we creating? All this under the so-called caring government. Disaster backlogs are accumulating on top of another. October 2017, 2019, they were floods. 2019, 2020, they were floods. The latter had a budget allocation of 397 million. That was underspent. Then the April 22 floods, now Dakota informal settlements. The disaster, the floods, had a budget. DORA allocated 1 billion in 2023 and 2022. There was a reprioritization. Uke washo omunye umhlonishwa la wathi safanele sifundiswe nge-reprioritization ukuthi akona ukudla imali. Cha impela siya-understand akona ukudla imali. Ukuthi nje khona izinto fanele zenzeke kakhulu kuqala kunezinye. Those budgets were reprioritized. The former Minister of Public Works, Honorable MEC Patricia de Lille, donated parcels of land for the same thing. But those people, even today, are still languishing in those squalor conditions. Those people are displaced, moved away from their families. Madam Speaker, perhaps it will be proper to remind this House that Section 26 of the Constitution mandates the state to achieve the progressive realization of the right to adequate housing. So these people are not begging for a favor. It's their constitutional right. Senfuna baze baye inkantolo, bayofuna ilungelo labo, nabakuthenjiswa okungakafezeki. I-IFP yakwenza nge-Neverapine. We went to court, and we can still do it even now with these flood victims, because monies were there, and space is there. And why is it that they are not out of those cramped places into the adequate houses that they were promised? Akuqali-ke bafowethu ngokhongolose ukwakhiwa kwezindlu. Abanye benu bakhulele komasho. Uzwa nolimi abalukhulumayo ukuthi wakhulela eScomplaza. Abanye bakhulela eMlazi, abanye bakhulela kuphi nakuphi. Akuyona into entsha. Kodwa ke kuyilungelo, it is the duty of every ruling government to be innovative and improve on what they took over from previous governments, not to run it down. All we need from our government is to be timeous in executing its mandate. Be qualitative instead of being quantitative. I'm coming back. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Value for money and compassion.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from the DA, Honorable Amne, for 8 minutes.
Chairperson, honorable members, and ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, greetings to you all. I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes by the icon Nelson Mandela. He said, if the ANC does to you what the evil apartheid regime did, then you must do to the ANC what the evil apartheid regime did. Remove them. Now hold that thought while I take you through KZN human settlements under a microscope. The estimated housing need in KZN in 2011 was approximately 745,000. And in 2016, the need for housing had increased to approximately 1 million. Now, during the 11-year period from 2011 to 2022, the department had delivered about 240,000 houses, which meant that about 750,000 houses were still needed. If one follows the growth trend and conservatively adds another 250,000 for the period 2016 to present, that will mean we have a backlog of approximately 1 million houses to deliver. Now allow me to share a little story with you. A young man was asked by his mother how he had done on his test, and he had replied that he had gotten 80. She excitedly congratulated him and ran to her friends to share the wonderful news of her son getting an A on his test. Later that day, she stumbled across his test paper and, to her disappointment, saw that he had scored 80 out of 400, a meager 20%. That's exactly the kind of insignificant number of houses this department continues to deliver against the enormous growing need, yet celebrates the achievement each year. Lower the targets, achieve them, and then celebrate. The reality is that millions will die never experiencing the dignity of having a proper house under the governance of the ANC. The people of KZN know this very well, and that is why they have stopped waiting and started building their own houses. The almost 1,000 informal settlements and 400,000 shacks across this province is evidence of the department's failure to deliver. 80% of those settlements are in the ANC-led eThekwini. Yet this municipality failed to utilize the grants to the tune of hundreds of millions of rands that National Treasury had reprioritized and made available to assist them. The budget is not the real problem. And as if the provincial emergency housing grant was not enough, National Treasury had also made 120 million rands available to municipalities in KZN that had been affected by the flood. Would you believe not a single municipality in our province applied for this grant? Not even eThekwini, which was the hardest hit ANC metro. This is the same municipality that allowed people to build shacks on floodplains and contributed to the rise of more than 700 informal settlements. And when disaster struck, you had no usable land available to build emergency TRUs. Then human settlements had to go and spend more money and rent temporary emergency accommodation for flood victims, with money that could have been used to deliver houses. Now, around 2016, the DA put forward a motion in the eThekwini Council to extend the capacity of the city's land invasion unit to better deal with land invasion. But the ANC slammed that proposal. Look where we are now. Now I hear that you have come up with a land invasion strategy. I really hope that works out. Same municipality, the multi-million rand Bambai housing project in Tangat that started in 2017 and was meant to benefit hundreds of needy families, now 6 years later lies in a state of disrepair, not having benefited a single person. It appears that the project was stalled because firstly, the municipality had appointed contractors that lacked the capacity, and secondly, the interference of business forums. It does not take a rocket scientist to know that with the rising cost of building materials and labor, allowing projects to stall for decades before completion is a costly decision that the people of this province will ultimately pay for. Time and time again, the DA have called for the eThekwini municipality to come before the Human Settlements Portfolio Committee to account. Yet you fail to deal with the problem child. Even though you are fully aware that every time this province must deal with a disaster, fire or flood, it means that our housing delivery budget is reduced. Why should the people suffer because of poor leadership? People are certainly fed up and exploring other avenues. Look at the Dakota Beach informal settlement that recently burnt down. Rumor has it that some of the informal dwellers set that fire because they wanted to jump to the front of the queue to get a house. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some truth in that rumor. People are desperate. Little do these people know that there is no list. Well, if there is one, it certainly isn't a transparent one that is secure from manipulation. Ward boundaries change and beneficiaries lists change, like in Lamontville, where residents cried out to the DA for help when they were being sidelined. And then there's the Rocky Park housing project that made headlines. Incomplete since 2010. Confusion reigned over who the beneficiaries were. Apparently, the contractors had given keys to some people to get in and guard the place. This led to a march to the ANC Deputy Mayor's office for answers. How embarrassing. Now, even though it would require a significantly larger percentage of the equitable share to make a dent in the housing backlog, if we are honest with each other, we will admit that the problems are far greater than an inadequate budget. They are political problems that require long overdue political intervention. I'll be back.
Thank you. Honorable T. Nkosi of the EFF for 9 minutes. Honorable T. Nkosi of the EFF for 9 minutes. Kubukeka engathi akekho. Can we then move on? Our next member is Honorable H.S. Dlamini for 10 minutes of the ANC. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to the MECs, greetings to the honorable members. Greetings to the MECs, greetings to the honorable members. Honorable members, I rise on this occasion of a debate of human settlements. The ANC government is proud to have given black people dignity by ensuring that they have decent housing. Since the advent of a democracy, this government has enacted legislation that allow for new ways of planning for a democratic state. Our problems started with the passing of the Land Act of 1913, which among others prohibited black people from purchasing land or set stringent conditions in areas where such transaction could take place. Writing in their journal, the Native Land Act of 1913 engineered the poverty of black South Africans. A historic perspective academic, Lipho Modise and Diko Mtiselwa, captured it correctly when they say, I quote, created socio-economic injustice in terms of poverty and dispossession of land from black South Africans. One would suspect that the legacy of socio-economic injustice, which was possibly inherited from the Native Land Act of 1913, continues to haunt the majority of black South Africans. As we know, people ended up being located in areas that are prone to flooding, posing serious dangers to their lives, as we witnessed during the 2019 floods and more recently last year. Some were pushed to rural areas that are hard to develop and some sabotage locations. ANC leaders at the time waged battle against land dispossession, which was key to impoverishing black people. The Freedom Charter was one of the response to the draconian and repressive laws. Hence, it was boldly declared that, I quote, all people shall have the right to live where they choose, be decently housed, and to bring up their families in comfort and security. Unused housing space to be made available to the people more than a decade into the democratic dispensation, the ANC in its 52nd elective Congress in Polokwane came up with a number of resolutions in respect of human settlement. The aim was to assist the democratic state in fast-tracking service delivery in respect, ensuring settlement of the population, particularly black people, as they are the ones who were badly affected by apartheid planning, which never recognized them as human beings. Lest we forget that it was D.F. Malan who ushered the National Party into power back in 1948 by campaigning on an apartheid ticket, an albatross that even today remains around the necks of black people. The 2007 Polokwane Conference resolved that we need keep the mushrooming of informal settlement. We adopt a central planning approach for directing resource allocation, distribution, and overall coordinating response to human settlements. Land acquisition be accelerated through a dedicated housing development agent. We need to inject resources to fast-track delivery of housing so that we can make meaningful dent on poverty ravaging the people. It is at this juncture that we are so proud in this province. We have seen determined MECs for housing and later human settlements, such as the late Dumisani Makai Ushombel, who worked tirelessly to provide houses to people even in the hinterlands of the province. Makai showed us that it was really possible to eradicate informal settlement, particularly in densely populated urban areas such as eThekwini. We have also seen another equally enthusiastic MEC in the form of Comrade Ntutuko Jomo Sibiya, who within a short space of time touched all corners of the province in eradicating service delivery backlogs. Currently, we have our able and dedicated Comrade Ntutuko Mahlabujunda, who is often seen interacting with poor people, mainly rural areas, who are yearning for the delivery of houses. It is encouraging to note that within the current term, the ANC-led government in KwaZulu-Natal has built 42,926 houses, handed over 13,274 title deeds, and provided 8,500 job opportunities. Abanye bena bakwazi ukuthi bangasigxeka ngoba nina nike naba nondunankulu okwakuthi uma kuthiwa kulethwe isidingo kubantu ngokusheshsha ezwakale ethi kujakwephi. Ndiyawuze niwuvume ukhongolose ukuthi uyasebenza. We are in line with the vision of espoused in National Development Plan, another visionary document that was produced during the presidency of Comrade Jacob Zuma Msholozi, which stipulates, among others, that I quote, "Where we live, work matters. Apartheid planning consigned the majority of South Africans' places far away from work, where services could not be sustained and where it was difficult to access the benefits of society and participate in the economy," close quote. One must highlight that the reduced budgets are affecting us in carrying out this huge responsibility. However, we are steadfast and we will ensure that we bring about a better life for the people. We will use that resources to ensure that we reverse apartheid planning and improve the quality of lives of the people of KwaZulu-Natal and of the country. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dlamini. Honorable members, allow me to go back to number 6, which was the EFF, Honorable T. Nkosi. I need to call his name 3 times just to make sure that he is not present. Honorable Nkosi, are you on visual platform? Honorable Nkosi. Honorable Nkosi. Engatiti akeko Honorable Nkosi, we can then move on. Thank you. And then our next honorable member will be Honorable M.E. Pagati. We have received the apology of Honorable C.M. Shinga and Honorable S. Takur Rashbansi. Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Pagati.
Sihlalo ke sifuna ukuthatha leli thuba sibonge owaye ungqongqoshe walomnyango sikhathini esidlulile ngezindlu zesikhashana azakha noma ezokulindela lapha endaweni yaselembeni kwaDukuza. Zindlu ke lezi zokulindela obonayo ukuthi abantu bakithi bahloniphekile abahlala kuzona. Asisezwa ukuthi khona insizwe ke yayolala khona njengoba sekwakhiwe lezi zindlu ezithanda ukuthi zingabe sesimweni esihle. Asivumelaneni ke ngento eyodwa ngqongqoshe baba Mahlaba ukuthi uma ngabe umhlaba ungakathathwa, we are still going to have a problem ukuthi sikwazi ukudeliver izindlu ebantwini bakithi abamnyama. Umhlaba awuthathwe amaseleni asingaloko esishendeza lento umhlaba awuthatha. Bama la bakhulume ngezinto ezinkulu zokuthi azakhiwe izindlu, kodwa nje besikhuluma nje lapha kwaDukuza, into eyenzekile lapha kwaDukuza kuthengwe umhlaba. Lo mhlaba manje kuyiwa kuSipluma nje bazobona bazoma baphikisana nokuthi kwakhiwe ngoba bevikela indawo zabo ezinhle neindawo zabo ezinkulu. So umhlaba nje akuthathwe nje umhlaba. Manje umhlaba ungathathwa kudala uthathwe manje umhlaba. As long as umhlaba singenawo ngoba abantu bakithi bahlupheka nje ngenxa yomhlaba. Indawo zokuhlala abazidingayo sizozakha uma ngabe umhlaba ungathathiwe. Asiyenzeke lento isheshe ukuthi umhlaba uthathe. Honorable MEC, you spoke about our military veterans. It is true, our military veterans, they fought for this land, they fought for this country. Ibona abantu efuna sibabeke phambili, sibanikeza amathuba omsebenzi, sibakhele izindlu futhi ezibukekayo. Asikwazi ukuthi laba abantu bavimba bayeka abantu babo behleli ngaphakathi emasosheni ngoba abantu bengaqashekile nje abantu bethi ngoba kwasala abantu babo bavimbile iminyaka babeko 15 years ukuthi kukhona uGeneral Sibani ozohlala for 15 years. Manje abantu bethu bahleli lapha abanakiwe, abanakekelwa abantu bethu bakhelwe izindlu, banikezwe imisebenzi. Siyabonga. Siyayisupport budget.
Thank you, Honorable Pagati. Our next speaker is from the African National Congress. That should be Honorable P.H. Mbacha Cele for 11 minutes. Honorable Mbacha, you have 11 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Executive Council, Deputy Chief Whip, honorable members of this House, officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. Ngiyanibingelela egameni lika African National Congress. Chairperson, let me start with responding to Honorable Dlamini, we IFP. I mean, Honorable Gomete, ngiyaxolisa, we IFP. Honorable Gomete, umukhuluma kanje, kukhona abantu abanjengathi sivele sivuke uhlevane. Uma uthi uvakashele le yandawo wathola ukuthi kukhona abantu abahlezi ngobulili obungafani abesilisa nabesifazane kwase kuyakuthusa wena lokho. I want to remind you ukuthi kuhulumeni obandlululo wawubambisene nohulumeni wakwaZulu uholwa iIFP bakhela abantu izindlu one room la bekuhlala khona ifamily yonke ubaba umama obhuti osisi belala kuleyo ndlu one room. Ngiyak-invite woza le ngakithi uSizweni khona indawo okuthiwa kuseveza unyawo indlu yakhiwa uhulumeni wakwaZulu one room akusiyindlu ye18 noma yama blocks uthayela wakhela abantu bakithi abamnyama kwathi abahlale kuleyo ndawo. Shame on you. I'm disappointed mangabe uzosho kanje uthi awuyazi leyo nto. But Honorable Gumede, lo hulumeni ka-ANC uba attendile abantu ababe vinjezelwe yikhukhula ama-floods. Ama-flood victims were allocated ama-flats ngokubhekelela igender yabo, i-age nangokwemindeni. Ngiyafuna nje ukwazi ukuthi mawufika wachecka yini ukuthi ingane ziphi zesikole ngoba zonke ingane ezayirejistile za-allocatwa zarejistwa ezikoleni zikahulumeni eseduzane. Kodwa ngoba waya lapho ufuna ukuyobona lokho wawufuna ukubona wathatha kona kuphela. Shame on you, Honorable Gomete. Honorable Chairperson, the African National Congress rises in support of the budget vote 8 on human settlement. Ukunikeza abantu bakithi izindlu ezisezingeni elifanele kanye nendawo yokuhlala kube umsebenzi wombutho wabantu owadonsa isikhathi eside kusukela ngo1994 iANC igxile kubantu abadonsa kanzima ibakhela izindlu zamahala bathuthukise izindlu kanye nezinsiza emijondolo futhi basebenzele ukubuyisa isithunzi nokwenza ngcono izimpilo zabantu bakithi hayi zikahulumeni ezifana lokho kwakwenziwa uhulumeni wakwaZulu. Che umqulu wenkululeko iFreedom Charter uveza ukuzibophezela kweANC ekuhlinzekeni ngezindlu ukunethezeka nokuvikeleka kwabantu. Honorable Chairperson, as the African National Congress, we welcome the 474.9 million in 2023-24 in relation to the Human Settlement Development Grant allocation, whilst noting that this program was not affected by the 2023-24 budget cuts. The department delivered to our people in KwaZulu-Natal a total of 22,801 housing opportunities in the form of completed houses, service sites, title deeds, certification and maintenance of government-owned stock in the 2021-22 financial year alone. Ngakho-ke izindlu zihlala zibalulekile emgomeni wethu wokuhlinzeka ngokuvikeleka, ukuphepha kanye nobunikazi phakathi kwezinye izinto. Lokhu kukhombisa intuthuko enhle nenqubekela phambili esiyenziwe ekuthuthukiseni izinga lempilo. Nokho-ke kusekuningi okusamele kwenziwe njengoba isidingo sezindlu sisekhona. Kanti kusilele emuva okunye kubhebhethekiswe ikakhulukazi nayizikhukhula zakamuva kanye nosongo lokuqhubeka olwenziwa abazibiza ngokuthi bangama construction mafia, abanye bayibiza ngokuthi amadela kubona. Amadela kubona labo bantu bayayivimba intuthuko ukuthi iye emphakathini. Siyafisa ukuxwayisa imiphakathi yangakithi, imiphakathi yethu ukuthi iziqhelelanise nalabo abavimba intuthuko yabantu bakithi abayilwela kanzima. Siyasho la siukhongoloso ukuthi asinayo thina icontract esayenza neyigelekeke, kodwa sine contract esayenza nabantu base South Africa. Ngakho ke kubalekile ukuthi umsebenzi owenziwe uhulumeni wethu uholwa yilomnyango uthuthukise futhi ulondoloza amalungelo nesithunzi sabantu bakithi. Kanjalo futhi undunankulu waKwaZulu Natal usezigxeke kaningi igcawu zamabhizinisi eziphazamisa umsebenzi wokwakha nokuzama ukuqola izinkampani zokwakha ezisezindeni esifundazweni sonke. Ngenxa yalokho izikhungo zomthetho zicelwe ukuthi zibhekisise lolu daba. Kusukela ngo-2005 omasipala baqala ukuqaliswa kwemiklamo yokuhlaliswa kwabantu ngokudlulisela umsebenzi wabo kuma-agent okusebenzile kwezinye indawo kwangasebenza. Kwasayinwe izivumelwano sezingxenye ezintathu ukuze kucaciswe izindima zabo kanye nezibopho zabo bonke ababambi qhaza ohlelweni lokulethwa kwezindlu. It was also determined that housing delivery is a concurrent competency of the provincial and national sphere of government in the Republic of South Africa. Schedule 4A and 5A of the Constitution states that one of the duties of the provincial department is to act as a developer in cases where a municipality lacks the technical, financial, and managerial capacity. The ANC is, however, concerned that municipalities' inability to respond to emergencies and disaster has jeopardized many communities. As a result, we'll make sure that we closely monitor these funds to make a difference in the lives of our people who depend on the ANC-led government to improve their circumstances and efficiently use this budget to help our people. Honorable Chair, the committee is concerned about the impact of climate change with growing suburb business and industrial sector and more impermeable areas over, as there is now a higher degree of formal urbanization than ever before, which leads to near direct and rapid surface runoff with higher peak discharges. It is also noted that complex spatial planning is a problem in cities like eThekwini, where there are conflicts between municipal and traditional governance and customary rules are frequently out of step with municipal strategic planning plans due to a lack of control over where, how, and what can be built. However, the impact has dire consequences, which has led to the increase in migration to cities like Durban from both within South Africa. As a result, people frequently build illegal homes on floodplains which are there due to prior flooding and will be flooded regularly, or on steep slopes with often unstable soil. Chairperson, with the deepening housing need and the entire context of growth, development, and quality of life means that Program 2 in this regard need to ensure that the department budget allocation of 3.150 million will assist with the growing challenges and complexities and will require a great deal of forward thinking and through planning, as planning is of immense importance and will contribute to the economic health productivity of our cities. Sengiphetha sihlalo. Sengiphetha sihlalo iANC ifisa ukuncoma uMEC Dr Mahlaba nabangaphambili kuyena nomnyango ngomsebenzi osuwenzekile kuze kube imanje na nosazokwenzeka futhi wenzeke ngendlela eyiqiniso nangendlela eqinisekisile futhi ukuthi umnyango nekomiti bazosebenza ngokubambisana. Ngalawo mazi sithi phakama ANC ngokuletha intuthuko ebantwini bakwaZulu Natal. Chairperson, ANC support the budget.
Thank you, Honorable Mbatacele. We were supposed to have Honorable S. Emmanuel from ACDP, and apology was received and processed. So we are moving straight to the following, to the next speaker, who is from DA, Honorable M. Ne, for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to say to Honorable MEC, it's a wonderful idea to meet with the MEC of Agriculture. It's a good idea to have a garden in each home. But what's an even better idea is if you could urgently meet with the MEC of Kokta and discuss the problems with municipalities. Let me move on. The residents that live in the Lansdowne project in Wentworth have to live in unsafe buildings with water coming through the ceiling from flats upstairs because of leaking bathtubs. They have taps breaking daily, non-stop burst pipes and moving staircases. People fear for their lives, but they have nowhere to go. They are at the mercy of government. Pretty much all government housing projects in this area and many across the province are falling apart. Who are these contractors that get away with delivering poor workmanship and endangering the lives of people? Now, according to the Public Works Department, the database of defaulting contractors is no longer kept with them, but with Treasury. This means that if a contractor, for example, defaulted in a municipality, they would still get work in other municipalities or other spheres of government. This realization is intoxicating. It makes your head spin. We have lost the plot. Instead of focusing on the core mandate of housing delivery, we want to put greater focus on capacitating contractors and tolerating their failures. Why? And then we move on to military veterans. I believe that December 2022 was the deadline to move our military veterans out of Aloe Ridge and into their own houses. What happened to that? Oh yes, I forget. MEC mentioned that it's moved to December 2023. It is costing government 800,000 per month in rental incurred to house the MK vets at Aloe Ridge. And never mind that it's funded by National. It's still government money, and it's the people's money that could be put to better use. Then there are the houses in Ilovo that were built for military veterans that you had paid security to guard, instead of allocating them to military veterans. They were invaded, vandalized, and stoves and equipment were stolen. How could you allow this to happen? It's clear that the ANC has no influence over the MK vets and the business forums. It appears that business forums are leading the trajectory of this department rather than the department. Due process. In Mzunduzi, through proper oversight, the DA was able to stop a dangerous project at the Bakerville housing project, which was set to begin despite environmental and engineer reports that warned of the danger. This department was very upset with the DA for exposing the red flags. Yet again in Northdale, Mzunduzi, this department wanted to build for flood victims on land that was unsuitable for building. In addition to that, no application had been made with the Land Use Department for consent. Here again, we raised the alarm and stopped it. And then this week, Honorable MEC, I wrote to you about the Bayview housing project, where houses were to be built on a park without the rezoning process having been completed or even initiated. And you went ahead and prejudged me on the basis of my race, assuming that I don't want black people in my backyard. That is so wrong, absolutely wrong. This is about due process. And if government cannot follow due process, then how do we expect ordinary residents to do so?
The time is
The
up,
budget
Honourable
is not the
Member.
problem.
Your time is up, thank you. Our next speaker is from the IFP. It's Honorable TJ Gumede for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Sala. The enemy of the mind is to listen, to respond, and not listen to learn. Inga-ke leyo. Honorable Mbatha, cela, two wrongs cannot do the right. If IFP built tin houses, you cannot be complacent. Busuthi ngoba. That's why I said, if you take a baton, you take a baton and run. You don't take a baton and stand. It doesn't happen that way anyway. Budget nje futhi ayingafani. Honorable MEC, I'm not going to engage you, I'm going to finish my speech. Honorable MEC Mahlaba, IFP will support you in any way. On one condition, we cannot judge you. Ngemsebenzi yabanye abantu. We are just starting up. And as I said, your document to me is precise. Only if the budget that is allocated is going to deal with incomplete housing projects. There are so many of them, I can't even start reading them, but there are those like Melmoth Housing Project, which started in 2021 with a cost of 168 million, and only 270 houses that were completed out of 600, and they're still there and they're being vandalized. And the list goes on. And if we are going to find a new system of allocation to the beneficiaries, if today we can go door to door, the thing that we do most when we go for election campaigns, we can go door to door. In Konobia, in Oxford, 90% of the people who are in those houses are not the beneficiaries. There are police, there are nurses, and other sectors that do not belong to them. Lento izokwenza ukuthi kuthiwa niyasebenza kodwa anifiki la niya khona ngoba those people who are meant for those houses are still out there and they will never benefit again because the system ibhale igama lami kanti indlu ihlala Honorable Kaluza. So we need to get this system right. How do we identify and verify our beneficiaries? About incompetent contractors, ngikuzwile ushilo izolo wathi uyabaqeqesha bazoqeqesheka kodwa ke ubhekisise mhlonishwa ukuthi ama-officials akangafuni imali ukudayisa amathenda ngoba bagcina besengesenayo imali yokwenza umsebenzi oyiquality ngoba imali eningi kuthiwa kickback. So ke yilokho okunye ofanele kulento ekunye ke ofanele sibheke sikulungise njenge human settlement, informal settlements. Kuyishwa ke lokhu. There are so many informal settlements in Durban, but ungqongqoshe ozokuhlaliswa kwabantu kuzwelonke ubhalele lelitheko wathi uyawucela 100 million abangawusebenzisanga. Yishwa ke lelo ukuthi ithi imali sifikile ingabasebenza. Akona icala lakho mhlonishwa, akulona icala lakho nawe ufice kwenzeka. And I trust you because I heard you saying you have got a scientific mind, and I trust your precision in doing whatever you are going to do and do it very well. In your speech, page 20, if you look at the bullets, it says that we will. But usihlalo khona manje we-human settlement was reading the budget, saying that the budget will be decreasing as the years go by. And in your speech says that there are 35 informal settlements that are going to be upgraded. In the human settlement APP, they say they've done 2 and they will be doing 2 in the outer years. In conclusion, siyacela baba, we know it's your prerogative. Ukuthi uyeza noma uzi kodwa awufike njengobaba
Your
sport.
time is up, honorable member. Thank you. The last speaker to debate is ANC. From ANC, it's Honorable VP Kaluza, allocated 13 minutes. Sincane zobona.
Honorable Speaker Mahobela, who is joining us on the virtual platform, Slaloga Kongolose, Ubaba Mtombeni, Honorable MECs in the House, in particular MEC Mahlaba, Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, inkinga engibhekene nayo khona manje ukuthi I can't even say trust me without cringing. Because the IFP has made a mockery of this once beautiful phrase. I'm saying so because Honorable Mpepecho and Honorable Rogers, the IFP, le eshaya mafaten said, ne DA emkhandlwini wasothukela, committed to fire the sex predator Abbas Warasali that targeted vulnerable women and use their plight of unemployment to satisfy his sexual cravings. That sex predator who moonlights as a councillor remains in the employment of the municipality over a month after the Mkhuleko said they have fired him. Shame on you, IFP, and shame on you, DA, for allowing it to happen. Honorable Mam TJ, I generally dislike elders who are disingenuous with the truth. I dislike elders who are grandstandist.
Honorable member, you are rising on which rule?
1A, point of order.
Kindly read it for us so that we understand that is it in line. What's your 57.8? Okay. What is the order, ma'am?
57,
Your point of order?
we don't talk, we don't personalize, we don't cast aspersions. We talk about
She's wasting my time.
the matter in hand. If you go to individuals, you mean
Which
that
rule?
we must also move.
Yeah,
We must also
Honorable
move
Komete,
and then become individuals.
Honorable Komete, which rule? I pointed you on a point of order. Then I'm listening to the rule that you're raising a point of order on.
That's 57, 1A.
It's a point of order. That's a point of order. Then,
Exactly.
based on which rule that which you are raising now?
Rule 74. Uyabona ke? Uyabona ke uma usuka kwi-topic bese uyo-attacka umuntu ongekho la endlini, it's something else. And another thing that you must know, siyakwazi
Rule 74 says, 1, it's a member may not make an accusation or improper motives against another member. If you, pardon? I'm just checking which part.
for the sake of the time, you have heard what I said. Kodwa siyakwazi phela nathi
Siyabonga mawuthi uhlale phansi.
enyameni
Usuhlala phansi.
size
Siyabonga.
emoyeni.
Qhubeka Honorable Kaluza.
Siyakwazi nje ukusuka enyameni size emoyeni.
as I was saying, I dislike elders who are grandstandist. We were together agreeing on the challenges faced by the department when it came to land. We were together agreeing that the people can't live in halls anymore. We were together agreeing that the emergency housing unit should be used. Inkinga yakho ke mawami engimthandayo ukuthi you don't want to accept that this government kept to its timelines and closed the flood camps. What should be a priority to all of us is monitoring that the 18 months commitment given to us by the department to give them permanent shelter is kept. You should have told your speechwriter, Mhlonishwa, ukuthi yini oyaziyo yini ovumelana nayo, because clearly they did not consult you, mawam. Kodwa ngoba kusanama camera namhlanje, we will wait and continue playing oversight on your behalf whilst you grandstand at the expense of the poor. Honorable Naya, why are you not telling this house that you are part of the problem? Tell this house that you are part of those who signed the petition to stop all planning approvals. Tell this house that you eat, sleep, drink. They're not in my background syndrome. Tell this house, Honorable Nea. Tell this house, Honorable Nea, that you are part of the problem. I am glad that you have actually confessed that the DA refused for the Department of Human Settlement to build TRUs in Northdale. I'm happy that it was your own confession here now. I am happy that you have confessed that the DA is responsible for the delay of the poor people receiving shelters. I am happy that you said it through your own confession, through your own mouth, Honorable Nea, that the DA is responsible for hindering progress. Honorable Chair,
Honorable members, don't drum the
in
speaker.
April 2022, it was a very painful period in our country, in particular in KwaZulu-Natal. Till today, many families do not know what happened to their loved ones. And as correctly captured by the Premier, singabantu abakholwayo kwisintu, kanti siyakholwa ukuthi kumele silikhombe ithambo lesihlobo sethu lalilele khona. Well, I know also the pain of not burying your loved one. Scientists have said the 2022 floods were the most catastrophic natural disasters we've had in the province. 459 people lost their lives and a number of them are still missing. Most of the damage happened in Ugu, Ilembe and eThekwini municipality. We must, however, indicate our dissatisfaction with the slow pace the municipality has taken, in particular the municipality of eThekwini, to avail land. This is evident in the failure of the department to fully spend the money allocated for the emergency housing program, which is the only thing that I agree with you on, Honorable Gumede, to say the 100 million being returned should not have happened, and something that honorable members must raise and raise sharply with eThekwini municipality. As much as we are dissatisfied with this, we are aware that it was as a result of the unavailability of suitable sites that are conducive for building. Whilst we understand that most land parcel, in particular within the metro, is sitting in privately owned hands, we must also deal decisively with what I have mentioned, the not in my background syndrome. The syndrome is also evident in a letter written by Honorable Nea to the MEC regarding the proposed housing project by the metro, by the way, Honorable Member, in Bayview, Chatsworth, not the human settlement. Iyaxaka ke lento bahlonishwa ukuthi sifike sikhale ngohulumeni sithi uhamba kancane kwakheni izindlu kodwa uhulumeni esezakha bese sithi hayi emva kwami. I was happy to hear the MEC stating that his department will not be intimidated and will build where land has been made available and infrastructure installed. Qhubeka mhlonishwa uMEC. Honorable Chairperson, asikusho ke ukuthi enye into ekhinyabeza ukwakhiwa kwezindlu indlela okucothoza ngayo ukufaka kwengqalasizinda.
Chair, I'd like to rise on Rule 79(1).
And rule?
Rule
Which rule?
79(1), I've been misquoted and I'd like to explain to the House.
You were misquoted where, madam?
Can I proceed, Chair?
Where were you misquoted?
I've been misquoted and misunderstood, and I'd like to clarify.
You want her to clarify? No. No, you can just relax, allow her to proceed.
Chair, the rule allows me to explain myself.
It's not granted, honorable member. Can you take your seat? Proceed, honorable Kaloza.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The delay in building bulk infrastructure results in the delay in bringing houses for our people.
You are not the presiding officer. You are not the presiding officer.
Thank you. Can honorable members just, okay, it's noted, honorable members. To Honorable Nair, who wanted to give clarity, can you please forward to me that which you wanted to make clarity on, so that we allow the honorable member in the podium to proceed? Just write it down and just forward it to me. No, I'm done. We can't be held at ransom by EDA. We can't. I have wrote on the
Madam
matter to
Chairperson-
say the honorable that has
Madam
raised
Chairperson, I'm rising on a point of order.
the point of order on top of the point of order.
No, it's a separate point of order.
What is that? But I've ruled. What are you raising a point of order on?
Chairperson, I'm rising on Rule 57(1)A, a point of order. And the point of order, you have a responsibility in this House to ensure fairness and the integrity of this House and to maintain the decorum of this House. You can't tell the member that she must sit down without allowing her to follow on the rule that she has raised.
I think
That is unfair to the member, and it is unfair to the point of order that she raised, and unfair to the
Honorable
House.
Kika.
The honorable member has been misquoted, and the rules
Honorable
provide
Kika.
for an explanation.
I've never disagreed with what you are saying, but I'm disagreeing with you when you said I asked her to sit down. Because I said I'm not granting, Honorable Kika, I said I'm not granting her the right to talk about it. Rather, let her write down and forward it to me so that we allow the Honorable Speaker on the podium to proceed. Kindly sit down, Honorable Kika. Honorable Kaloza, proceed.
Honorable Chairperson,
No, Kika, kindly sit down.
Chairperson,
Yini manje Kika ifuna? But Kika angazi ukuthi umeleni. Kika, kindly sit down.
Chairperson, I'm rising on a point of order on your last comment.
Based on what?
Chairperson, your comment is allowing, or your ruling is allowing the member to get away with what she said without allowing the House to hear the explanation.
No, like
So
when
you are allowing on record the member to say what she wants to say, and then the member who has been misquoted not to correct what was misquoted.
Can I be allowed? Can I be allowed to preside? Because the reason why I'm saying that the honorable member must write is for me to see if there is that misquote that she claims that there was. No, you can't deter the meeting. Honorable Makalos, proceed.
Thank you.
As I wait for your written submission, Honorable.
Thank you
Nair.
very much, Honorable Chair, and for the record, we. Basukuma bonke abelungu.
Honorable Francois
Oh, Honourable Francois Namhlanje.
Rogers.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just really appeal to you that we need to follow the rules. To write down the misquote means by the time you read it, you make a decision, the speaker at the podium has already left. It's then after the fact. And it makes absolutely
Honorable
no sense.
Rogers, on which
Chair,
rule are you rising
just
on?
allow me to finish, Chair. On my
Honorable
point of order.
Rogers, on which rule are you
Chair,
rising
allow-
on?
I'm 57.
Honorable Rogers, on which rule are you rising on? On which rule are you rising on?
57, 1A.
On which rule are you rising on, Honorable Rogers? But honorable members, yeah, you can bang your head all you can. But honorable members, as you are rising on a point of order many a times, I think by now we would have received that submission from Honorable Nen.
Chair, you didn't listen to a word I said. Here's what I'm going to say.
Can amanye ama-members sicela ukuthi atshehlise umoya? Ake thule.
May I finish, Chair?
No, give me the rule that you're rising on first.
57, 1A.
50?
57, 57, 1A. Shall I give it to you in writing?
That one is a point of order. Then on which rule?
It's a point of
You're
order.
raising a point of order
And
on.
I've explained to you what the point of order is. To have this
How? Akuna rule in
in writing, and you shouldn't be talking to the person who's on the platform.
No, I'm just.
Yes, you are. I saw you. I'm not blind. So, here's my decision as leader of the DA. If you don't allow us to put our case across as requested in terms of the standing rules, you're denying us our rights. In terms of the rules, we will be left with no choice but to leave the house.
You want to
So
leave the house,
ball's in your
suit
court.
yourself.
The ball is in your court.
You want to leave the house, suit yourself, because I've made a ruling on the matter that was raised by Honorable Nair to say, kindly make a submission so that I see if that which you are raising a point of order on is indeed a misquote. Proceed, Honorable Kaloza.
I'm actually reminded ukuthi at some point we used to sing Mabawuye kumhlaba wethu. Honorable Chairperson, we respect your ruling because we are guided by the rules of this house. We are not emotional. We will not turn pink on the face when they keep on disrupting us because we follow the rules of this house. Abahamba bahamba yososala sincenga. The delay in building infrastructure results in the delay in bringing houses for our people. As such, we welcome the setting aside of the 30% of the human settlement grant. Equally, Honorable Chair, the non-performance by the implementing agents that are appointed by municipalities also contribute greatly in the delay of housing delivery. And we do request that municipality takes a closer look at this, because we can't keep on blaming the department when the hindrance in service delivery is as a result of the slow pace of completing projects within municipalities. Honorable MEC, when they ask you ukuba wenzani, tell them about the 20 million rand OSS intervention program that will be rolled out in KwaNongoma local municipality. Ugudle njalo uyophongolo ku-Ward 3, where 300 units are being built with 300 more that are approved. That is in Zululand District Municipality alone. A further confirmation that the ANC government is a government of the people. Engachemile nganhlangano. If they still say, Honorable MEC awenzi lutho, tell them about the 50 million phase 2 project in Makhabeleni, Pa Mzinyathi, that will see 300 units being built on top of the ones that have already been built. Lokhu kusobala ukuthi umnyango uyaqhubeka nokushintsha impilo zabantu. If bengakholwa, move to Harry Gwala district and tell them about the Gudlucingo Rural Housing Project in Buhlebeze local municipality. That has been completed with 300 units in phase 1 alone, and phase 2 to commence in the 2023-2024 financial year. Indeed, this is the ANC government at work. Honorable Chair, the decommissioning of the transit camps remains a great priority to the ANC. That is why we have not shied away from constantly asking the department to account on this matter. We are on record demanding clarity on the Kanku Road project, and we will not stop, Honorable MEC and the HOD, until the Isipingo transit camp, who are direct beneficiaries of this project, have full occupation of their homes. And we are happy to hear that soon it will be realized. We also welcome the commitment that has been made by the department to ensure that in ensuring that they will closely monitor that allocation will be done to beneficiaries that are indeed the direct beneficiaries of that particular project, and we'll also be keeping an eye. Honorable Chair, in line with the agenda to radically transform the economy, it is encouraging to note that the Department of Human Settlement will continue to honor the radical economic transformation agenda through having 25 million of construction work that will be allocated to 25 women-owned companies, as well as the training that will be extended to 90 women-owned businesses. This is one way that the department, through its budget, is contributing to the inclusion of African women, youth, and people with disability to participate in the economy. In this province of KwaZulu-Natal, when we identify opportunities that will contribute to the overall well-being, we are referring to genuine programs that are being implemented. Programs like the Consumer Education Program that has been pronounced by our MEC that intends to reach 10,000 consumers, which will create awareness and risk associated with the building of shelters, and programs that will emphasize the benefits of home ownership, which will further prevent our beneficiaries from selling and renting out their businesses, their houses. I am glad that Honorable Gumede actually made mention of this, because it was myself who raised this matter with the department in the last portfolio committee, where we said, Honorable MEC, kuzobaleka ukuthi siqinisekise ukuthi abantu abasuke behlala kuma social housing houses, abantu that are genuine beneficiaries of these houses. We can't have amaphoyisa, honest, abantu who qualify for ukuthenga izindlu bebe occupy these houses of the less fortunate. So it's important ukuthi sikwazi ukumonitor ukuthi those who have applied are actually the residents that occupy these areas, because what we have witnessed is the fact that poor people go and apply, they get these houses, they get these rentals, only to rent them out at a higher price. So it's important that we monitor this and ensure that it is the genuine occupiers who are there. Ngoba enye into esesiqaphelile kakhulu ukuthi ubugebengu obuningi benzeka ngoba abantu abahlala kulezi zindawo, lama flat lawa arentwayo, mhlonishwa uMEC, benziwa yilaba udepartment engakwazi ukuba accountela. I-department engakwazi ukuthi isho ukuthi umhlonishwa uMavimbela ohlala e-housing number bani, because umhlonishwa uMavimbela has actually rented that unit to uVuyiswa kaCaluza, who is not written anywhere. Hence umphakathi yakithi tend to say asifuni ukuthi uhulumeni wakhe la ngoba kuba nobugebengu, and it's because of systems that are not being monitored. So we are really requesting that the department closely work with municipalities to ensure that it is the right occupiers who are occupying these flats. Honorable Chair, we can't speak of human settlement without touching on the issue of land invasion. Siyanxusa ukuthi imphakathi yakithi iyeke ukuzithathela umhlaba ngokungemthetho, ngoba this hinders progress. La ekumele kwakhelwe abantu bakithi bangasakwazi ukwakhelwa ngoba sekunabantu abahlala ngokungemthetho. Indawo isuke imelelene ngokuthi kwakhiwe izindlu seyigrebwe abantu. Siyanxusa ukuthi umphakathi wakithi ungazithatheli umhlaba ongewona wabo, ngoba uma ngabe sebekhishwa kuba sengathi uhulumeni udlala ngabo. Siyabonga kakhulu Somlomo Hloniphekile.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kaluza. We have come to the end of our debate. Now it's the time for the Honorable MEC to give responses. You are allocated 20 minutes, Honorable Maslaba.
Sibingelele sihlalo. Kathi sila Honorable Kaluza mawubona isiphithiphithi. Kungikhumbuze into esasisho esikoleni noma sesontweni. Kuthiwa it's nice to be here. Thabanye kumnandi kubala. Lord, I'm tempted ukuthi before I start I quote a verse from the Bible. Elithi, my people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. You know, when you listen to some comments, you can see one thing that is lacking is knowledge. I will start ngicatha uMamgumedu suka ngisho ukuthi ngeke ngithi beqamba amanga ngiphambanisa iqiniso. Siyayivakashela lezi ndawo lezi. Abantu ngesikhathi beallocate babe-allocate ngokwe-gender nangokwama families. Sababona safika kubo bahlala kanjalo. Khona nje babe samfica eqimbile. Une flat linama bedroom awu4. La mathatha ahlala izingane lelinye lihlala yena nonkosikazi wakhe. Singahamba siye kuye. Singaya nakhona. Into eyenzeka abanye emva kaDisemba babuya nezihlobo zabo emakhaya. Ngoba bathi hey sihleli kamnandi la. Ngoba bahleli kamnandi ANC babeke endaweni ezinhle. Bafakelwe ama flat screen TV, bafakelwe yonke leyo nto. Ingane nangu MEC wa education Honorable Fraser uyazi ingane zafakwa ezaziregistiwe zingena lapha zafakwa ezikoleni eziseduze ayikho yasala besikwenza konke lokhu ngokubambisana sonke. So akulona iqiniso ukuthi khona izingane ezafike zabekwa zasekuthiwa ziyekomlazi kubukuphi. Asigcinanga lapho. NoNdunankulu khona la esafika khona abantu abanye safica abanye behlele emini sabatholela imisebenzi. Bangena kuhlelo abanye kaEPWP ukuthi basebenze khona la iduze kwala abahlala khona. Senzele ukuthi ngoba sebeneyindawo le mali bazoyisebenzisa abakhokhela ugesi abakhokhela amanzi bazoyisebenzisela ukuthenga isishebo. So lento ukuthi kuthiwe hayi khona ohlala nezingane laza abafana ngamawele ayikho leyo nto le. Yabona kwakwenzeka nangazi ukuthi makuculwa nicula kanye kanye kodwa makukhulunywa kukhuluma yedwa. Njoba siyayenza ngengiphendulani nawe babugwala umdala kakhulu. Ngizokuyeka ngiqhubeke. Uyazi ngiyakuhlonipha. Abantu abahleli lezi ndawo ababekwa kuzo kushiwo kwathiwa abahleli temporarily. Indawo lezo kwakuthiwa zidonatiwe uPublic Works yokwakha kwakhiwa kuzo ama-TRUs awu-1771 akhona akhiwe. Lezi ezinye indawo la kufuneka kwakhiwe khona ama-permanent structures. Awuvele uvuke nje uyokwakha indlu. Ngithi kufuneka kucheck ukuthi abekho kuma-flood lines lezo indawo lezo. uthola kwenziwa into yesipluma kwamasipala i-approve and sawabeka futhi ama-timelines akhona uthathini. If honorable members were listening carefully, they would have captured that. But Umama show something about the brain. It's very dangerous if you listen with an aim to respond. Honorable Kaluzu is correct. Whoever bese kubhalelile bekufuneke nawe ubheke ukuthi ayi lento angibhalele yona akusiyo lezo khulunywa ngayo la. Uyishintshe nje kahle mawambizo kwenza nje uhambe kahle ulale kahle namhlanje usukulala ungalali ngempela kuphela lobuthongo. Ucabanga nje ukuthi hey ngaze ngalishaya isayidi la. Ngoba ngempela le oyisho ayikho. Yithini ezivakashela lezi indawo siyazi ukuthi bahlala kuphi bahlala kanjani angeke uvele uvuke uthi usiyokwakhela umuntu ungakawalandeli ama processes akhona zikhona izindle sezakhiwe esesiqalile ukwakhiwa khona la eMaritzburg yini konje le ndawo manje eCoxville omuya ko Verulem qaliwe kwakhiwa izoyildi izindle ezi about 2000 noma kama flood victims allocated iportion ethize ezinye zabanye but kuyakhiwa ngoba ama processes akhona asalandelwa kulamanye ama land parcel njengoba besichaza ukuthi sisalinda into yesipluma hayi ukuthi kumiwe kuyakhiwa kushiwo kuthiwa labahlelo kwesikhashana mase kuphele izindlu zabo bazomuva bayohlala endlini zabo la kufanele bahlale khona enelend into eyidiscusswa nabo asingabakhulumeli abasiwa amadlozi ayikho complaint abake bayiletha kithi uma ufika bajabuya bahleke baze babe ngale so ukuthi kuthiwa mhlambe bavakashelwa angazi ukuthi babevakashelwa noma bayizihlobo yini noma kwakwenze njani kodwa ke bavakashelwa kulungile akunankinga Unaya it's a pity Unaya has left. Unaya is a hypocrite of note. She recently met before even that letter that she wrote on behalf of residents as a Chatsworth. One of my friends I went to school with at medical school, whose uncle stays in that area, told me, Unaya told them, they must fight the department. He called me. Unaya wrote a letter because she's part of those people who are saying not in my backyard. And when we say this is racism at its best, we'll be accused of insulting people. But we are calling it what it is. And she goes on and on. Honorable Vuiso was correct. She confessed here about her materials. She made a confession here. And now she wants to make a correction. Now babugwala umzwile masingakhulumi. She made a confession here. You see, we must not be too insensitive. There was even a comment that those people burnt their shacks because it's being too insensitive. We know that fires erupt at any time. If those people had deliberately burnt their shacks, they would not have accepted material to rebuild. It's being very insensitive. It's because she grew up with soft life. Yonke into ibila. Hayi nje umthatha ngumse lapha ngasekhaya ngifika umshiye le ngasemfuleni. Encome lapha bese ngithi akahambe kaye ufike emgwaqeni uzongithola emgwaqeni. Ngibona ukuthi uyofika yini. Because it's easy to talk. Talk is cheap. At DA, at some point, we found them protesting. With people who were saying, not in my backyard, people were wearing DA t-shirts, protesting with the community, saying, not in my backyard. Where must we build? That is why I even said to HOD, we are going to build here, not anywhere else, here. Because this is the land that we found. We are not going to go and look for a land somewhere else. Unless we must go and remove all those sugar canes there. And start building. Indawo zobabamkhulu nazo. You are correct, Pagat. Lento yomhlaba iyadingeka si-attende kahle. Because indlela okwenzeka ngayo, it's like now we are stepchild of this country, of this land. Every time when we have to do something, we must ask for a permission. We can't do that. Ngizukuya kokuningi ngoba sebebalekile. But I think Honorable Usho covered it correctly. It is true. All there are wrong people that occupy izindlu ongasize zabo. But let us identify them. Once we know who they are, let us identify those houses, and then information is brought to us, we'll attend to it. Because no one is supposed to occupy indlu engasiye yakhe. I-beneficiary khona ihlale i-language, but most of the time you own my beneficiaries who are renting out these houses. Some of them will even sell them and go back to a shack. When you meet them, they want another house. When you profile them, according to the profile, they have a house. Honorable Chair, akufanele ngoba ngithi bekuno 20 minutes. U20 minutes bengizosebenzisa kuba bese khona labade bephakamisele izinto ka 20 minutes. Manje babaleka. Eyokugcina ileyo ukuthi izindlu ezakhiwayo. Honorable Phumzile Cele is correct. Indawo lapho kuthiwa kuseveza ubuhlu, even esikhaweni khona indawo kuthiwa kusemathinini. Bani babakhela ungayi kude nala eMnambithi, mawundlula ungathi ungena eStateville, one room. Zazakhiwa ababugwala. Kuhola nini province? Zakhiwa yinini? As IFP. Lapha kwamathukuze Newcastle izindlu zakhiwa khona IFP, sayidibizi INC yayiqala phansi. Yakhe izindlu quality staff, top staff, zine aluminium. Izindlu ezavele nje zayikrekhela, uyibona ukuthi ikrekha kawu4, kawu6. Uyibona ukuthi ngawa noma inini le. Indawo le yakuzange kuthiwe nje kuseveza unyawo ngani ngoba indlu incane kwakuthi umuntu mayilele kuvela unyawo ngaphandle. Zakhiwa andu uhulumeni wakwaZulu. Angazi ukuthi ayikuphi ANC lapho. Singaya sizothatha ngoba manzina ngithi sinayo i-register ukuthi ubani esamfaka kulendlu. Mina ngiyafisa siye noma Mgumedo, kufuneka ke sikubeke iqiniso ngapha, sibeke amampunge ngapha. Sizoya Mgumedo uzosho ukuthi ikuphi. Siye siphathe list yabantu abangena kulendlu. Bese ngikuthatha ngikusa lapha emadati lapho kwamathukuza. So hamba futhi nawe uvuma. Siye ngikukhombisa ukuthi Ngoba ikhona indlela yodwa yasala sasithi sifuna ukuyenza ukuthi senze isibonelo nangelinye ilanga ukuthi abantu bakithi babakhelwe umbhedo nje sakha nakho. So fike sikukhombise bese siyabuya ngelinye ilanga ngoba sigcina ukuxoxa kanje bese sithi ake uyichaze futhi. Ungenzisi ke oko Rogers noNaya. Noma usitshela ukuthi uvukelwe iBP ushukele phezulu. Kofuna ngiphathe ikit yami mawuthi uyavuka ushukela ngokujova. Shayita. Cha, sihlalo akungabe ngisalilukele ekudeni icansi elizongcola. Siyabonga kakhulu honorable members. That was our budget vote. Into esingayisho ngiyengibone honorable members bayabacathi masodwa nangapha leli side elingapha asigxekani kanti siyatshenana ukuthi lokho akuhambi kahle. Sitshenane nje. Yabona indaba yakokanku ayayingarezwa omunye umuntu ayirezwa abantu beANC. Njengoba iku-advanced stage manje futhi uqinisekisile uminister ukuthi izolontshwa upresident. Yarezwa abantu beANC ayirezwa nge-opposition. Ngoba nayo iANC yakwazi ukuthi igxekane. Thina akasiyo labantu bashayelana ihlomo sithi hayi ngithembe emahlaba, thembe asiyenzi leyo nto. Thina sifuna ukuthi sisebenze hayi le ndaba yokukhuluma ngokuthembana nithembane ningenzi lutho. Dukiswa abantu batshena into engekho kuthiwa kunengane engamawele lapha phezulu ubani engekho hayi. So ithemba kanjani leyo nto? No, siyabonga kakhulu sihlala. uNkulunkulu anibusise.
Thank you, Honorable MEC, for responses. Honorable members, sesifike ekuphethweni noma esiphethweni se-debate noma senkulumo mpikiswano yethu ngokuka vote 8 kanjalo nangokomsebenzi wosuku. Fisa ukubonga kakhulu kuyihambeli zethu, sibonge kakhulu kumalungu ahlale athembeka kwaze kwaba segcineni angayithathi offense agcina eshiya. Siyabonga. Ngifisa ke ukwenza isimemezelo for tomorrow. Sine sitting sasa ezoqala ngo-9 la chamber. Shuthi wonke ama members azobe la because we'll be dealing with vote 6 kanjalo no vote 2 bese kuvotwa no stack of budget report bese kuyavotwa on appropriation bill. So liyacelakala ukuthi okungenani sishayelwe ukwara 29 sesihleli sonke la selendile. Fisa ke ukuthi nonke msenamba nemakhaya uThixo ahambe nani nikhuseleke nigcineke kwaba emakhaya kwababhukhelwe endaweni eseduzane nabo babe safe. Nithembeke kunina kuqala before nithembeke kusizwe. Ngoba maningathembekanga kunina kuqala ngeke nisimele isizwe ngendlela okuyiyona yona. Amandla.